The Republican-dominated state Supreme Court of North Carolina has blocked election certification in a critical state Supreme Court race won by a Democrat, but where the Republican is challenging 60,000 votes. Welcome back to Democracy Docket. I'm Marc Elias.
And I'm Paige Moskowitz. Let's get started. Marc, we've been talking about this North Carolina state Supreme Court case for a really long time now, but a major update has happened today. It's still not over. It's still not resolved, but now the state Supreme Court is blocking certification of the race. Tell us what this means and what is happening.
Yeah, so there's been back and forth and back and forth. This all stems from an effort by the Republican Party of North Carolina and its candidate in this state Supreme Court race to throw out 60,000 votes. That's right, 60,000 votes. It would be the largest disenfranchisement in the post-election at least since Donald Trump tried it unsuccessfully in 2020. But the last time it succeeded, I can't even tell you how far you'd have to go back. Anyway, they launched this effort, and it's been rejected by the State Board of Elections. And they have tried various ways to get this before the state Supreme Court, which ironically is the body for which the election is being held, because the state Supreme Court is controlled by Republicans. And so the Republican candidate hopes the state Supreme Court will ultimately throw out these votes, and then the Republican will win. Well,
and the State Board of Election is controlled by Democrats, right?
That's right. The State Board of Elections is controlled by Democrats. The state Supreme Court is controlled by Republicans. And this has been as you say, been going on for a few weeks now. And it finally reached a crescendo where the Republicans filed an action directly in the state Supreme Court asking to stay or block the certification, which is supposed to take place on the 10th. And a battle then ensued between whether a federal court would consider this, which is what the State Board of Elections wants, or whether the state Supreme Court would decide this, which is what the Republicans want. Well, suffice to say, the federal court judge that got it punted it back to the state court. The state Supreme Court entered a stay, and then the State Board of Elections has now sought an appeal in the federal court action to the Fourth Circuit. So we're waiting to see what the Fourth Circuit does. We know what the state Supreme Court does, but what we really know, Paige, is the takeaway is that Republicans want to pull off the stealing of this race through a massive effort to disenfranchise voters.
Yeah, Marc, it's actually really remarkable because this is really their last-ditch effort. On election night, Jefferson Griffin, who is a state appeals court judge, was leading the vote count by about 10,000 votes.
And he's the Republican.
And he's the Republican challenger. However, as more votes were counted, as ballot curing happened, as mail-in ballots were returned and counted, it ended up confirming that the incumbent justice, Democrat Allison Riggs, won by 734 votes. Not confirmed once, not confirmed twice, confirmed 3 times after the initial count and after Griffin requested 2 recounts. It confirmed Riggs's victory, and they're now pursuing this legal effort to challenge 60,000 votes. Now, Marc, this election should have been certified and completed weeks ago, but because of Griffin's ongoing legal challenges, certification has been delayed, which is why the race has not yet been certified. This has gone back and forth between state and federal court. There's actually 3 separate lawsuits, 2 filed by Griffin, 1 filed by the RNC and the North Carolina GOP, all trying to challenge these 60,000 votes in some way. And at the same time, Marc, the North Carolina Democratic Party has filed a wholly separate, different lawsuit in federal court to ensure that these ballots won't be rejected.
Yeah. And so you've got it right. I mean, this is just a whole mess of litigation going on in this one state over this one race. And it has echoes, Paige, of 2020. In that, if you remember in 2020, it was like Donald Trump and his allies just kept filing basically the same crap over and over again, hoping for a different results. The difference, though, Paige, and this is what really has me so worked up about this, is that in 2020, the legacy media was all over this, and it was holding Donald Trump's feet to the fire of how dare you do these things. And yet here we are, already, after January 6th, we're in this period between the electors being certified and the swearing in. And yet, where is the legacy media? Like, you've got some coverage in North Carolina, but this is the kind of thing that should be a big national story. I mean, this is the kind of thing that should be dominating the news day in, day out, and we're not seeing it. It's one of the reasons, Paige, why I started Democracy Docket in 2020, and why I encourage everyone, if you're watching right now, to go to Democracy Docket and subscribe to its free daily and weekly newsletters. We'll put a link above and in the show notes below.
Marc, and I think two other pieces of this story that really frustrate me, or really just highlights how insane all of this is one, control of the state Supreme Court is not at stake. Republicans already have a 5-2 majority on the court. If Griffin ends up on the court, it changes to a 6-1 majority. And again, we say it's a Republican-controlled court because these are partisan elections. These candidates are running with D's and R's after their name. And two, Marc, North Carolina, the state Supreme Court, allegations of the court overstepping its power to interfere in elections is how we got Moore v. Harper in the ISL case before the U.S. Supreme Court, where in that case, Republicans had said that because the North Carolina Supreme Court, which was controlled by Democrats at the time, said that partisan gerrymandering violates the state constitution, Republicans were up in arms, took the case all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court to say that the court was way out of line and it had violated the U.S. Constitution by ruling so.
Yeah. Look, if you're looking for consistency, you're looking at the wrong place if you're looking at the Republican Party, right? This is not a party that is consistent. I mean, Mitch McConnell thought that Barack Obama couldn't fill a vacancy because it was too close to the election when he nominated Merrick Garland. And then when the shoe was on the other foot and Donald Trump was the president and Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, much closer to the election, they went ahead and confirmed to justice. This is about power for them. They understand in a way that, honestly, I wish more Democrats and people on the left understood the importance of courts and judges and controlling. And if they can get 6-2, they want 6-2. If they can get 5-2, they want 5-2. If they can get 6-1, they want 6-1. If they can get 7-0, Paige, they'll fight for 7-0. I mean, they're about shifting this window as far as they possibly can in their direction. And there is no Republican Party that has been more ruthless about this than the Republican Party of North Carolina. You look at their gerrymanders of their state legislature, look at their gerrymanders of their congressional maps, look at what they've done in some of these anti-democracy laws they've passed. Right now, they're undermining, Paige, the State Board of Elections. I mean, these people are shameless. They're just in it for the power. But my question to you, Paige, is where the hell is the media? Why is it that Democracy Docket covers this and a handful of other outlets, and I give them credit too, but why isn't this dominating the news?
Marc, it's a good question because it should be all over the news. You have the literal Republican Party of North Carolina very blatantly trying to steal an election that they have lost over and over again. And again, like you said, it's all about power for them. Nothing substantially changes in North Carolina. Whether or not they win the seat, Republicans still control the court. Now, Justice Allison Riggs has recused herself from this case. She won't be involved with it while it's before the North Carolina Supreme Court. The other Democrat on the court, Justice Anita Earls, dissented from blocking certification. She said that the standards had not been met. Former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper also issued a statement. He said that this should not be about party politics. This should be about votes counting. And former Attorney General Eric Holder also issued a statement calling the situation in North Carolina alarming.
Yeah. So look at this like split screen here. Okay. On the one hand, you have Donald Trump being certified the winner of the Electoral College in a proceeding overseen by Kamala Harris. Right, Kamala Harris is literally counting up the votes, tallying them as required by law, calling out by name Donald Trump as the winner. You have Democrats in the audience. They're not booing. They're not protesting. They're not doing nonsense. They are participating in the peaceful transfer of power. And what's the split screen? Like the next day, the very next day, you've got Republicans in North Carolina doing this, and it just shows that there is no comparison between the Democrats and the Republicans on these issues of democracy. Democrats are playing by the rules as they are written, and the Republicans are playing by their own rules. And that is not, by the way, a criticism of Democrats. Like, it is, we cannot have a lawless situation in which people ignore the results of elections and certification. So I'm not criticizing Democrats. What I am critical of is people who are not calling out the Republicans for what they are here, which is just an anti-democratic mob. The North Carolina Republican Party is every bit as lawless as the mob that stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021. They're just doing it in suits, and they're doing it with legal briefs. But that's what this is. This is just an effort to undo the results of a free and fair election. And so we will be covering this at Democracy Docket. We are not going to give up on this. We're going to cover this day in, day out, and we're going to make sure that Republicans don't get to do this in the dark of night.
Marc, like you said, Democracy Docket will continue to cover this case. We'll keep y'all updated, but tell us what happens next.
Yeah, so the big thing everyone needs to watch right now is the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. What the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals does here will be critical, because I don't have a lot of confidence that the state Supreme Court of North Carolina will sort of, when it considers this, it did a temporary stay, a temporary block, but then it's going to consider the case. I don't have a lot of confidence there. I do think there is a chance that the federal court says, no, this case belongs back in federal court, and essentially nullifies what the state courts are doing, and it goes back into federal court. And if that happens, then I think Allison Riggs gets sworn in, and this whole thing is over. But again, as we have been saying, please make sure you are subscribed to Democracy Docket for free daily and weekly newsletters that'll keep you up to date on this, because this is a very important case to follow for democracy. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.